AI is moving so fast, it's almost impossible to keep up, right? So to really get a grip on where we are, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to freeze time and just look at a single day's worth of news. Welcome to The Explainer.
This quote, wow, it really nails the central problem we're all facing. You've got this incredible, powerful AI that can create anything, but at the same time, our ability to trust our own eyes is just plummeting. And that tension, that gap is exactly what we're going to unpack today.
So our source for this explainer is a daily rundown of AI news, and we've picked just one day to focus on, August 1st, 2025. Why? Because looking at just one 24-hour period gives us this incredible snapshot of the entire AI world. You get to see the breakthroughs, the warnings, the weird stuff, all happening at the exact same time.
Now, before we jump in, you've got to know where this news is coming from. The source, AI Unraveled, is run by a guy named Etienne Newman. He's a senior engineer and a self-described soccer dad from Canada. His site is a mix of things. He sells ebooks and toolkits for AI certs on Azure, Google Cloud, and so on, but he also has sponsored slots for other innovators. So just keep that in mind. The perspective we're getting is shaped by real engineering know-how, but also by industry promotion. That's a really important piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break down this single day. First, we'll look at AI's new reality problem. Then we'll dive into the massive corporate arms race. After that, how AI is literally re-engineering our world, and then how we, the humans, are trying to deal with it all. And we'll wrap up with the big takeaway. The key thing to watch for is how none of these stories are happening in a vacuum. They're all connected.
All right, let's get into it. Our first big theme, and this is where it gets interesting right away. The news from August 1st kicks off with something you'd never expect. A bunch of incredibly deceptive bunnies.
180 million. That is a massive number. And that's how many people watched this viral TikTok video of bunnies bouncing on a trampoline. Super cute, right? Well, here's the kicker. None of it was real. The bunnies, the trampoline, the whole scene, completely generated by AI. And it was so realistic that when the truth came out, it triggered what people on Reddit started calling a crisis of confidence. A real sense of despair that they could be so easily tricked. Okay, and this is where the story gets really wild. On the very same day that this bunny video is causing this crisis of confidence, a different company announces a new AI model called FLUX.1. And what's its purpose? To get rid of that weird AI look. You know, the waxy skin, the six-fingered hands, the odd colors. Its whole goal is to create images that you literally cannot tell apart from real photos. So think about that. On one hand, you've got an AI creating a trust problem, and on the other, you've got another part of the industry racing to make that illusion absolutely perfect.
So, this chase for perfect realism, it's really just one battle in a much, much bigger war. The great AI arms race. Let's take a look at who the big players are and what's on the line, at least as of August 2025.
Right now, the market is getting a huge shakeup. The news on this day shows that there's a new leader in the enterprise LLM space, Anthropic. They've actually pulled ahead of OpenAI. And you have to ask why. Well, it seems like Anthropic's big bet on safety and reliability is really paying off. They're winning over those big corporate customers who absolutely need to trust the AI they're using.
But here's the thing. While all these companies are battling for market share, their own leaders are sounding the alarm. In an interview from this same day, OpenAI's Sam Altman admits that the power of the next model, GPT-5, has him scared. He even says there are no adults in the room and compares its potential to the Manhattan Project. That is a heavy, heavy statement.
And you'd think that kind of fear might slow things down, right? Nope, not at all. On this exact same day, OpenAI announces it's pouring 1 billion euros into a massive new AI data center in Norway. Its codename? Stargate.
And get this Stargate facility is being built to hold 100,000 NVIDIA GPUs. I mean, those are the engines driving this entire revolution. It's just a staggering amount of computational power. And it points to something bigger, too. Europe making a serious play for its own AI sovereignty, trying to build up its own infrastructure so it's less dependent on the US and China.
And look, this fight for dominance isn't just about who has the best tech or the biggest data centers. It's also a fight for hearts and minds, for influence. And you can actually see that reflected right back in our source for today, AI Unraveled, which, remember, actively looks for sponsored guests.
It's a perfect example of how corporations are fighting to control the narrative.
So with all this money and all this power, what are they building? Well, they're building tools that are starting to literally re-engineer our world. And in some cases, that means creating a complete one-to-one digital copy of the entire planet.
Also happening on August 1st, Google DeepMind unveiled something called AlphaEarth. And the concept here is just mind-blowing. It works by sucking in every kind of data about our planet you can think of: satellite imagery, radar, climate data, LiDAR, and it uses all that to create a super detailed data point for every single 10 by 10 meter patch of Earth. What you end up with is a living, breathing, real-time digital twin of our planet. So, what's the point of having a digital Earth? Well, for one, it's way more accurate. 24% more accurate than older systems. And it's incredibly efficient, using 16 times less storage. That means organizations like the UN can get continuous, non-stop intelligence to track things like floods, wildfires, and deforestation anywhere on the planet, anytime. It's like having a virtual satellite that never has to blink, never sleeps, and can see right through the clouds.
Okay, so you've got this flood of mind-bending technology coming at us. Everything from fake bunnies fooling millions to AIs that can model the entire planet. How are we, the people, and our governments actually reacting to all this?
Let's start with the people who are actually building this stuff. A Stack Overflow survey, also out on August 1st, shows this really interesting split. On the one hand, a majority of developers say they're willing to use AI tools. But on the other, there's this pretty big group that's holding back. They're reluctant, and they're pointing to serious concerns about the reliability and the ethics of the very technology they're supposed to be championing.
And this leads to a really crucial shift in how we think about the problems with AI. Journalists at the Reuters Institute are making a powerful argument. They're saying we have to stop talking about AI bias like it's some accidental flaw, a bug that can just be patched. Instead, they say, we need to treat it as a feature, something that's baked into the design of these systems from the ground up and needs to be questioned right from the start.
And that brings us to the regulators. On the same day, there are reports confirming that Europe is putting the finishing touches on its big AI Act. You know, the rules of the road. And the message here could not be clearer. The Wild West days of unchecked AI development are coming to an end. A new era of compliance and real penalties for breaking the rules is about to kick off.
So, we've walked through this one chaotic, fascinating, and kind of contradictory day in AI. What's the big takeaway here? What does August 1st, 2025 really tell us about where we stand?
Well, when you pull back and look at all the pieces from just this one day, it becomes crystal clear. The AI revolution isn't a single straightforward story. It's a story of massive, competing tensions. You have this clash between creating perfect, photorealistic AI and the deception it enables. You have this race between world-changing innovation and the slow, cautious pace of governance. And maybe most importantly, you have this growing gap between incredible technological power and our declining public trust.
So everything that happened on this one day, from something as silly as AI bunnies to something as profound as a digital Earth, it all kind of boils down to this final thought. The technology is without a doubt getting smarter and more powerful at a dizzying speed. But the real question is, are we? Are we, the people who are supposed to be guiding this, getting any better at asking the right questions about what we're building and where all of this is actually going? Thanks for joining us for The Explainer.